Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursaleen Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Ikhwatul Islam ya ibadallah. I'd like to take this opportunity to discuss the affair as it pertains to the Mahr, or the dowry that is given to a bride on the occasion of marriage. Now, some here in the U.S. have the understanding that the Mahr is a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. This understanding is incorrect. However, with me mentioning that, I don't want to give the impression that the Mahr is something that is not important. On the contrary, it's very important because it is a right of the bride and it is binding upon the groom to give her a Mahr. This fact is illustrated within the text of the Quran. From the textual evidence that points to this is the statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala when He says, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَنْ لَا تُقْسِطُوا فِي الْيَتَامَى فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He says, and if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphan, then marry women of your desire, 2 or 3 or 4. فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَنْ لَا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدَةً أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ ذَلِكَ أَدْنَى أَنْ لَا تَعُولُوا. But if you fear you cannot be just with having multiple wives, then only one, and or that which your right hand possesses. That is nearer to that which is correct, in order to prevent one from doing injustice. After that, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, وَآتُوا النِّسَاءَ صَدُقَاتِهِنَّ نِحْلَةً, and give the women their dowry. And in this verse there is a verbal command, and give the women their dowry. فَإِن طِبْنَا لَكُمْ عَنْ شَيْءٍ مِّنْهُ نَفْسًا فَكُلُوهُ هَنِيئًا مَرِيئًا. But if any of them, if any of the women remit a thing from amongst that dowry, from themselves, of their own pleasure, if they remit or refrain from taking some of that dowry, then enjoy it, take it and enjoy it without having any fear, without fear nor harm. Take or enjoy that portion that they remit without fear nor harm. These particular verses point to or indicate the fact that the Mahr must be given to the woman. It must be given. We have another verse, likewise it's in Surah An-Nisa, where Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, فَانْكِحُوهُنَّ بِإِذْنِ أَهْلِهِنَّ, and marry them, or so marry them with the permission of their families. وَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and give them their dowries, in accordance with that which is reasonable, or that which is good. Once again, we have a verbal command. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He says, وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ إِن تُنْكِحُوهُنَّ إِذَا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ, and there is no sin upon you if you marry them while you have given them their dowries, or if you have given them their dowries. And this is conditional. It appears on the Zahir that this is conditional. The point is, the text of the Quran and the Sunnah shows that the Mahr must be given. It is a right of the woman. But it could be understood by these verses that the Mahr is a prerequisite for the validity of a marriage. For this reason, it is important that the Muslim looks at all of the texts of the Quran and the Sunnah as it relates to this particular subject, in order to ensure that an individual walks away with the proper and the correct understanding. When going into the text of the Quran and the Sunnah, we find that this is not the case, that the Mahr is not a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala states, لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضا. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He states there is no sin there is no sin if you are divorced women, meaning your wives, and you have not yet touched them, meaning consummated the marriage, nor stipulated, yani fixed for them a dowry or a mahr. Now this particular verse is clear in its meaning, that there is no way that the mahr could be a validity, a mahr could be a prerequisite for the validity of marriage if the person is already married and is desiring the divorcing of his wife, and yet no mahr has ever been stipulated or fixed. As Allah is saying, there's no sin if you divorce him and you have yet to consummate the marriage, meaning have sexual relations with them, or even fix or stipulate a dowry. So the marriage can take place and be considered valid even though a mahr or dowry has not been fixed or stipulated. Meaning it hasn't been stated, I'm giving you such and such, or I'm giving you this as a dowry. This particular understanding is emphasized in the text of the Quran or in the text of the Sunnah as well, in the authentic Sunnah. As we have an authentic narration that is upon the authority of Uqba ibn Amir, and it's collected by Abu Dawood in his Sunan, where he stated that the Prophet ﷺ said to a man, Atarda an uzawwijaka fulana, would you be pleased if I married you to sister so-and-so? The man responded in the affirmative. And then he stated, Qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam lil mar'a, so the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to that woman, Ataradina an uzawwijaki fulan, would you be pleased that I gave you away in marriage to brother so-and-so? And the woman, she responded in the affirmative. The narrator, he states, فَزَوَّجَ أَحَدَهُمَا صَاحِبَهُ. So the Prophet ﷺ, he basically married the two. He basically married the two. وَلَمْ يَفْرِدْ لَهَا صَدَاقٌ وَلَمْ يُعْطِهَا شَيْئًا. The narrator, he states, وَدَخَلَ بِهَا الرَّجُلُ. I was forgetting that. وَدَخَلَ بِهَا الرَّجُلُ. The man, he consummated the marriage. وَلَمْ يَفْرِدْ لَهَا صَدَاقًا وَلَمْ يُعْطِهَا شَيْئًا. The man consummated the marriage and he had not stipulated for her a mahr. He had not made mention of what he was going to give her as a mahr, nor did he give her anything. He didn't give her anything as a mahr. وَكَانَ مِمَّنْ شَهِدَ الْهُدَيْبِيَةَ. And he was from amongst those that participated in the war expedition to Hudaybiyah. وَكَانَ مَنْ شَهِدَ الْهُدَيْبِيَةَ لَهُ سَحْمٌ بِخَيْبَرَ. And those that participated in the war expedition to Hudaybiyah, they all had a portion from Khaybar, a portion of land from Khaybar. فَلَمَّا حَضَرَتْهُ الْوَفَاء قَالَ. So when death reached this individual, he said, إِنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ زَوَّجَنِي فُلَانَةً. That indeed the Messenger of Allah, he married me to sister so-and-so. He married me to sister so-and-so. وَلَمْ أَفْرِدْ لَهَا صَدَاقًا وَلَمْ أُعْطِهَا شَيْئًا. And I did not stipulate what I was going to give her as a dowry, nor did I give her anything. وَإِنِّي أُشْهِدُكُمْ أَنِّي أَعْتَيْتُهَا سَحْمِي بِخَيْبَرَ. And I am calling you all to bear witness that I am giving her, my portion of land from Khaybar. He stated, إِنِّي أُشْهِدُكُمْ أَنِّي أَعْتَيْتُهَا مِنْ صَدَاقِهَا سَحْمِي بِخَيْبَرَ. That I am giving her as a dowry my portion of Khaybar. My portion of Khaybar. And in the narration she said she took that dowry and then she sold it. And then she sold it. So this particular narration is clear in what it illustrates or elucidates. And that is that the Mahr is not a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. It is not a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. Now there is a misunderstanding as it relates to a narration that is found in the Sunan of Abu Dawood and likewise in the Sunan of An-Nisa'i. And that is when Ali ibn Abi Talib, when he married Fatima, this is from the hadith of Ibn Abbas, where he stated that Ali said, "Tazawwajtu Fatima," that I married Fatima. This is a statement of Ali. And then he said to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Should I consummate the marriage? Shall I consummate the marriage?" The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stated to him, or he said in response, "Fa'atiha shay'an," give her something. Ali, he responded, "Ma indi min shay." He stated that I don't have anything. He responded that I have nothing. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he responded, فَأَيْنَ دِرْعُكَ الْهُطَمِيَّةِ. Where is your armor? The Ali, he responded by saying, the armor is with me. The Prophet ﷺ, upon hearing this, he stated, فَأَعْطِهَا إِيَّاهُ. Then give her it, meaning give that to her as a dowry. Give that to her as a dowry. So some people have the misunderstanding that this hadith legitimizes the claim that the Mahr is a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. However, this particular understanding is incorrect. And when looking at hadith, there are two things that have to be in place in order to use a hadith as a proof for a subject. One, the hadith has to be sound. That's the first prerequisite. And then two, that which you're deriving from the hadith as a ruling likewise has to be sound. It likewise has to be sound. And so to derive from this narration that ruling that the Mahr is a prerequisite for the validity of marriage, then that derivation, or that which is being derived therefrom, is not sound. It's not sound. what the scholars actually say as it relates to this particular narration is that it shows that one can prevent the consummating of a marriage if the mahr hasn't been given. That it's allowed to withhold the consummating of the marriage until the dowry or the mahr is given. But no scholar says, based that I know of, to my knowledge, has stated that this is a proof that shows that the mahr is a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. After all, even in this narration, Ali is stating, Tazawwajtu Fatima, I married Fatima. And then he asked the Prophet about consummating the marriage. So to derive from this particular narration that the mahr is a prerequisite for the validity of marriage, then that which is being extracted from this hadith is not exactly sound, because the hadith is not saying that. So the reality is this, that the mahr is not a prerequisite for the validity of marriage. It is a right that of the bride, and is obligatory upon the groom to give her a dowry or a mahr. But if a man was to marry a sister without even stipulating what the mahr is going to be, then the marriage contract is valid and sound. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows best. Now.